Hey folks, David Stewart. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Today's topic is think small, not big. I will see you all next time. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I want this to be a small video, not a big video, because I can get the point across a little more quickly, and I'd like you to get onto other things as well. But a lot of times people get inspired by big ideas, and that motivates them to want to do something. They have an idea. I'm going to write a 6-book series, a 10-book series. I'm going to make a video game that's going to be like this, right? They think really big. I'm going to write a book series is going to get optioned into a movie. The movie's going to look like this. The video game adaptation is going to be like this. Or they're thinking like, I'm going to make an MMO, and it's good. They think really big when they start. And that's great for your inspiration part. But when it comes to the effort part of your creativity, you really need to think small. You need to start with the smallest unit that's achievable. So before you can write a 6-book series, you have to write the sentence that's in front of you. You have to write one sentence at a time. So focusing on the small units of production will actually allow you to achieve the bigger vision a lot more easily. So you need to think small, not big. An example would be setting a daily word count goal, say 500 words, 1,000 words, something that is actually achievable. And I talk about this in the Keys to Prolific Creativity book, which you can get if you are a patron. And before I forget, put on my wizard hat for just a moment. You can get 10 of my fantasy books proving that I can think big. In the Eternal Dream Christmas, these are all related to the Eternal Dream setting and universe that I write, including The Bright Children, which has never been published in book form before, and the complete text of Water of Awakening and the Needle Ash books. So please do grab that. So yes, think big, that's fine, but what you really need to do if you want to achieve that, write 10 books, is you have to write one sentence at a time. So I was able to get most of the productivity that I have that you guys can maybe see, all the videos on the channel, the books, the albums, everything else that I may have done along the way. I was able to do that because I think small, not big, when it comes to the productivity part. That is, when I sit down, I know that I need to move 1,000 words forward in a book. That's what I need to do, or however many, whatever my word count goal is for that drafting session. I need to move my work forward that much. I need to record this many videos. I need to make the video like this, right? I think in terms of the small unit rather than the really big idea. The really big idea may inspire you, but it's not going to get you motivated to finish. And in fact, it can incredibly discourage you to sit down and be like, I want to write a 6-book series. And you sit down and you look at it and you're like, I have written 1 chapter of my 6-book series. I'm never going to finish. Yes, you are, but you have to think of the small thing. Instead of thinking of 6 books, think of chapter 1. Instead of chapter 1, think of page 1. Instead of page 1, think, what's the first sentence that I'm writing? And then you'll be able to get it done. Same thing if you're practicing an instrument, rather than thinking of, oh, I need to imagine some technical piece you want to learn. You're going to learn Technical Difficulties by Paul Gilbert. Great. It's going to start with the first riff. So focus on getting the right hand picking down for the first riff and just say, I'm going to master the first riff. That's your practice session, okay? Not, I'm going to learn technical difficulties. I'm going to learn the first little riff. And then once that's good, I'm going to learn the next riff, the riff in the next position. And then I'm going to learn that other little riff. And then I'm going to learn the first couple bars of the solo. And I'm going to try to put, so start with each manageable chunk. When you learn a piece of music, you learn measure by measure by measure. When you're composing, it's the same thing. You compose one measure at a time, or you compose, I'm just going to write the melody here. I'm going to write these chords, and I'm going to write the first phrase. And once that phrase is done, I'm going to move on to the next phrase. Yes, you may have a symphony in mind, but before you can write the symphony, you need to write the first phrase of the first movement. And when you get to the second movement, you need to write the first phrase of the second movement. Eventually, you have the entire piece of music composed, but only if you're willing to focus on the small bits. Focus on the chunk that you can actually do, that's in one day, in one sitting, in one session. That's what you should focus on. You should focus on the small things, not the big things. And the big things happen as an aggregate of all the small things getting done. I love using fitness analogies like bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is a great example. You have somebody that looks a certain way in a competition, and that's just the end result of lots of little things that they've done. They've managed their diet every day, right? They've managed every meal. Before you can say, I'm going to diet for 6 weeks, you have to figure out, what am I going to eat today? Like, all right, 6 weeks, great. what am I eating today? What am I eating this meal? What am I eating and the next time you're hungry, what am I going to do about that hunger, right? So you think in the smallest units that's possible. And through that, that's where you end up with that arrival point. So if you're trying to lose weight, it's all about how are you dieting today? Don't worry about tomorrow, right? You can worry about tomorrow, but really the focus should be on the small thing. What am I doing today? What am I doing in this meal to help me lose weight? And that's how you're going to achieve it. And people who are really into fitness, bodybuilders, will tell you that's kind of how it goes. It's a daily thing. It's the routine. It's getting into the habits of doing all of these things and directing them towards the inspiration rather than thinking entirely about the big picture. Now, flip side of this would be visualization. Visualization, I think, is a great way to get yourself over humps. And so Steve Vai explained it in this great old video where he was like, imagine yourself playing the piece beautifully, wonderfully. And anytime you have a hard time, you go back and you go back to that vision, that complete vision. That's the inspiration part. So whenever you find yourself lost in the moment, you go back to the inspiration and you know, this is what I'm doing. I'm achieving my goals. I am making progress towards that. And so to that extent, I think it's a really good idea to check in with your goals every once in a while. If your goal was to write an epic fantasy book, start with sentence 1, but check in a couple months into it. Say, I'm going to do it for a month. How much should I get done in a month? And that'll either encourage you or discourage you, but it'll probably encourage you because you realize I've done more than I thought I could. And can I maintain this for another 12 months? If I can keep that same habit up for 12 months, then I'll finish the book. And in fact, you probably won't even take 12 months to do it, right? If you're writing 1,000 words a day, if you're drafting 1,000 words a day, that's 365,000 words a year. That's huge. That's huge. Right? That is a giant long book. There's very few single fantasy books that are anywhere approaching that length. Okay, I mean, like some George R. Martin books that I think are in the 300,000 word range. But that's big, right? So just stick with the little things. Think small, not big, and that's how you're going to get to the big stuff. Is focusing on the little things, focusing on the details as you go. So have a great one. Leave me your thoughts down below. I won't waste any more of your time. You get back to what you need to do to be productive and balance that inspiration with that effort. If you want to get it done, it's all about the effort part. So the result is effort over time. Have a great one, and I'll see you all next time. Check out my Patreon and do buy the Eternal Dream Christmas book linked down below. It will be available through January 2025. If you're watching this in the far distant future, you can still buy all those books. You'll just buy them separately. And every so often I will put together like a big compendium of some fiction area that I've written. So there will be more anthologies, and I'll see you all next time.